Hello there. Just like to document my process I use to RGB mod a Nintendo 64. This is an NTSC version, so this is what they used in America, Japan, NTSC regions, not PAL regions like where I'm from, Australia, and Europe and such. So this is a Japanese board, it's the same as the American board, and let's just show you. So far I've prepped the board, this motherboard it is. I've done the LED light here so far. I've prepared these pins for the method that I use, and we're going to be using these vias for the RGB signals. And we'll be getting ground and 5 volts, and yeah, we'll just show you how we do it. I'm not going to actually show you the soldering because I've got a pretty crappy setup as far as videoing goes. I don't have a tripod or anything like that. I have got a microscope though, and I'll show you the soldering on the LED light which I've done so far. So let's just get that in view somehow. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a nice volcano look to the solder joints, perfectly soldered. Probably not coming across on the mobile phone too well, or cell phone, or whatever you want to call it. We call it mobile phones in Australia. Nice clean solder joints. Okay, that's the LED light. Now I'll move on to the next point. I'm just going to pause this video, but as you'll see, we'll just skip straight to the next part, which is soldering in the wires here. Rightio. Okay, I've just gone ahead and cut some wire to length, and I have tinned these wires here, so they're the connectors for the RGB signals. And oops, a bit hard doing this one-handed. I will put flux on that and solder it, and you shall see that. Okay, I've just gone ahead and now soldered these RGB lines into their vias. So R10, 9 and 8, so they're your RGB lines. Obviously you can't see that too well because the mobile phone I'm using, but let me get the magnifying glass out. Or sorry, microscope. Okay, so this is obviously my microscope, and these are the solder joints. Perfectly silver, perfectly formed joints. There will never be a problem with those. Okay, let's move on. Okay, the next point is preparing the little mod board. So this is a SOP to 14 adapter. This gives you a video amplifier. This is a THS734. Now I like to, because I solder these in bunches of 10 or so, I just like to have a look at, make sure all the solder joints on these pins are good, and as you can see they've got nice connections to the pads, and that there's no bridges. As you can see, there are no bridges. So I shall move on. Okay, so we're now up to the next phase. So I've gone ahead and prepared the RGB board here. Now we've got 75 ohm resistors on the RGB. We've got a decoupling capacitor between ground and 5 volts. We've got the low pass filter disabled. Reason why you want that is because a lot of people use OSSCs, and that already has a low pass filter turned on, and having two low pass filters can sometimes degrade the picture. So by default, that's a common consensus, is to have that turned off on the THS7374. So now I'll go ahead and solder this into place into the RGB lines, 1, 2, 3 RGB, and then we'll simply wire that in and give it ground and 5 volts, and essentially the RGB mod is done. However, my work is not completed until I've gone ahead and checked all these solder joints here. I often just redo these solder joints because why not? I've got it open. I often recheck the solder ones here. So these consoles here, when they come out in 96, so they're now 24 years old. So yeah, alright, let's get it soldered in. Okay, that pretty much completes the mod, the RGB mod for Nintendo 64 for NTSC. As I said, there are quite a lot of extras that I do. Check all the solder joints. Plastics need to be cleaned, polished, all that kind of stuff. So I use a plastic cleaner on those. The system obviously needs to be tested, but this gives you a basic idea of install. This yellow part here is what's called Kapton tape, and that is a insulator and also a heat resistant tape, just so that there's never any shorts if that ever does touch. That's impossible to happen. And I also put Kapton tape on the the bottom of the RF shield, so that there can never be any shorts here. So gives you an idea. Now let's get the microscope and we'll have a better look. I haven't checked this myself yet, so this could be interesting. I'm sure it's fine. Just from general look, it's good. We've already checked those. Solder joint there. There's a little bit of a divot in that, so I'll just touch that up. But these two here are more or less perfect. Shiny, perfect joints. Just give that a little touch up there. It's your ground connector. Nothing wrong with that. Let's get that in focus. Go to our 5 volts. Focus it in if I can. So I'm looking through a mobile phone and it's quite difficult to do. Perfect join there. Connector onto the multi-out. Let's have a look. Perfect joins there again, as you can see. Okay, mate, so hopefully you found that interesting. Never really documented this myself. As you can tell, I'm not much of a video editor. I'm just doing this on the fly. Cheers to that. Thank you. Bye.